Welcome to the Lock Shop with Nielson and Hustler, powered by Coolbet Canada.
It is 11:04. Dusty and Huss with you here on the Lock Shop, presented to you by our great partners over at Coolbet. If you are not yet signed up at Coolbet, what are you doing? Go to coolbet.com, use the code LOCKSHOP when you do for a nice little bonus over at coolbet.com. Huss, where are you being held hostage today?
Yes, I'm going to hold up the newspaper proving that I am alive to date. No, makeshift operation today because, and this is good news for the streaming side of Lock Shop and Winnipeg Sports Talk, but they're finally putting in the fiber network at my place. But that means drilling, dudes in and out. So it wasn't going to happen. And I had this happen a week ago, and I went and did the showdown at Confusion Corner.
Perfect.
On a Friday, which was awesome. That was actually the day of the Bomber game where you were in town.
That's right.
Working on those other ones, but the Lock Shop was fine, and the first hour of WST was fine, and then something happened where I was audio only for the rest of the way. So
old school.
Yeah, literally, it was like radio, maybe not entirely dead.
Yeah,
it was a radio style show, or at least the last little bit. Anyways, I had to bring the computer back to the CTO here to figure it out. Anyways, we said, you know what? Let's just do this here. So this is the true hub of Winnipeg Sports Talk with everything going on around. This is the auxiliary host spot, which I'll be working today. But tell you what, it's good to get the boys back together.
Yes.
It's been a minute. And listen, I have to thank Patty, first of all, for coming on yesterday. It's a very fun show with Pat. And I also have to apologize both to Pat and to the Lock Shoppers because we were thinking about the double play. We ended up going with a triple play. Both of Pat's props came through.
No.
I had the freaking Brewers lose to the lowly Cubs yesterday. And the worst thing was that I'd said, I like the Cubs or I like the Pirates. I like the Brewers or the Pirates. I went Brewers instead. Pirates, of course, beat the Cardinals 2-1. So we hit on everything except I was the culprit. So I own it. You got to man up when it's on you. I'll be better today and moving forward. But Patty was on yesterday with both of those props. I hope maybe a few people jumped on those as singles because our triple play was kiboshed by the Milwaukee Brew Crew only being able to play one at Wrigley Field last night. And it was a source of great frustration last evening for yours truly.
I was looking at our chat last night when you're like, that's on me. And I love Pat. He goes, it's a team game, brother. Win and lose as a team. You know, that's the commitment. That's the Lock Shop chat. You know, that's good. I like seeing that. What are you ever right? What a teammate. What a teammate. I guess
those guys have been so great jumping in too, because I know your schedule is very busy right now.
It's ridiculous.
But it's good. You're going to be back for the rest of the week. And
yes. I'm excited.
You can roll right in. What games are you doing this weekend?
I'm just doing Edmonton Hamilton this week. That's it. So
wow, normal week. Your kids get to remember what it's like to have you around on a Friday or Saturday.
Yeah, I get to be home on the weekend. It's a Sunday night game. We have our Edmonton Sports Talk Nasty Bash on Friday night. So that'll be fun.
Is that at the rugby club?
It's at the rugby club. We're going to be doing 6 o'clocker lager baptisms. We're going to be pouring 6 o'clocker lager over people's heads, which is going to be a lot of fun. And then I'm hoping I'm recovered enough to do the game on Sunday. So Edmonton looks for their first win, 2.5-point favorite at home as an 0-6 team. So
I don't even know what to say about the Elks. I think I've bet them every week this year. I'm pretty sure I don't know. And I was loving it at the start because, as I said, good teams win, great teams cover. They've done that, but they've been favorites in both these games against Ottawa and are still 0-6. I know we'll get into that, and the lines are out for the Canadian Football League, so we'll be discussing that in a minute. I do, however, want to give a big, hearty congratulations to one Matt Iwanek.
Oh, God.
For a controversial win, I understand, from other members of the horsey race last night.
Oh, yeah.
At the Riverhawks game. But as I tweeted out yesterday, nobody has ever needed a W more than Iwanek did yesterday in public at a sporting event, considering the aftermath of the infamous free throw attempt at the Stingers game. So however he did it, it may have been controversial. Sometimes you need to find a way to win. Iwanek did that, and the most embarrassing free throw attempt in Canadian sports history, potentially.
It was like a 50 cent. It was like 50 cents first pitch, his free throw. You know what I mean? Like,
but not anymore. Not anymore. He's right now. He's got the belt. Who else was in? There was YouTube Trev.
Yeah, Zacticum and LTE. And
was Gazzola in there?
Yeah. No. Tommy wasn't there. It was just the four of them. And we've already. I mean, it was a major controversy on the show today. If you want to go back and watch the show, we break down the video of it. Like we slow mo. You got to go watch it. You'll very much appreciate that because it was pretty questionable. I mean, at the midway point, they had to bounce backwards. Then they had to drop out of the sack and grab like a horse on a stick. Maddie's still shaking his head over here. So, but they had one lady holding the horses on a stick. So as they came back, she couldn't give them all to them at the same time. They should have been laid down. So Eric had to wait while she gave a horse to Maddie, gave a horse to Trev, then gave a horse to Eric, who was even with Maddie when they got to the horses and was halfway back by the time he got his horse. You weren't ahead. You're even. We ran the video. You're even.
Hey, that's not Iwanek's fault. That's not Iwanek's fault.
Well, I know it's not his fault.
Getting into the pits. It's like getting into the pits first in a in an auto race. At a certain point, if you miss your cue or you fall a bit behind, you can. That obviously happened to LTE, who I did see was steaming about it. But again, I recognize a clutch performance when I see one. And no one needed that W more than Iwanek, so well done to him. And, he will happily take any heat from anybody else in the Edmonton Sports Talk office today because he got the win. And as I said, has erased some tough memories and a tough look for Edmonton Sports Talk earlier on this summer and is now making it happen. So anyways, Team Iwanek, great work to Matt for making that happen.
We are he's referring it to it as the, because it's Remax Field, he's referring to it as the redemption at Remax.
And that's a great name for it.
And the rest of us are referring to it as the ripoff at Remax. So, what we have determined is that next year there will be a rematch at Remax. That's what's going to go down. And it'll be very anticipated, man. I cannot wait for that day. So, there's good things that come out of slow summer months, Hassan. This is one of them.
Hey, well, and listen, and tying that into the lock shop, I can tell you right now that if there can be very clear rules for the event that can be followed, I'm not sure we might not be able to get that up on the exclusives.
That's
who do you have?
That's, you know what?
LTE, Zacticum, YouTube Trev, Iwanek. I mean, get some odds. I'm sure it'll be relatively low limits on the bets, but we might be able to make that happen.
I would think because we have the video from this year's event. So now it was a little loosey-goosey. Some of the boys are claiming false start somewhere along the way. We would have to have all the horses laid there so they could all get them at their own pace. But my God, would that be awesome? Like a max $5 bet on the race down at Remax. That'd be great. It's a great idea.
I think Patty and Jake are the sort of guys, speaking of making things happen, that they could do that. So we've got some time to plan for it. And then very clear delineation of rules, connecting with the Riverhawks people to let them know that this needs to be legit. There cannot be any funny business, whether or not there was any in 2024. That's neither here nor there. That's neither here nor there. We're looking ahead to 2025 for the rematch at Remax of
God.
the EST team. I will say Edmonton Sports Talk is the winners though, because the benefit to the station after what happened with the free throw incident.
Oh yeah.
As they say, the redemption for Matt is big for the brand overall. So
well, I'm not sure if you were, I guess we didn't post a video, but we were talking about this morning on our show, young Zacticum. He's 20 years old, Zacticum, right? And, I don't think he grew up like a huge, I'm a fan of all sports type of thing. So he's looking for redemption as well, because last night we had a quick video. I'll text it to you later, but a video of me naming athletes from like very famous athletes from the 90s. And he had to tell me what sport they played. And we got to Mark McGuire, and he turns to me and goes, I've never heard of that name in my life. And I was like, oh my God. So today on the show, we've decided that once a month, we're going to spin a wheel of a different sports topic, like 90s baseball or 2000s NFL. And he'll have 3-4 days to study. And then we'll have what we're calling the Zactalick instead of the Wonderlick at the end of the week. And we will test his sports knowledge. And it's a good way to develop the young guys, right? I think that's the best way to do it. See you later, Tommy.
So is he like the tech guy? He's come in, his role in EST is one of a production? Like what was it?
He's one of our junior producers. And
so what are his go-tos? I mean, he's the
MMA. He's a big time MMA guy and a hockey fan. But he wasn't born till after the year 2000. So it's like he doesn't know a lot of these things from the 90s. So I told him last night, I said, you should go watch all of the highlights from the McGuire-Sosa home run race. It was the most captivating TV of the 90s outside of OJ. Like it was ridiculous. So yeah, it's exciting for him. He was telling me today, he goes, Mark McGuire, he was already doing some research on it and stuff. Like we're going to have him come in and do reports like in high school. But today I want your Mark McGuire home run derby report. Like that's what I want.
Yeah, well, and here's some other McGuire facts. Started off with Jose Canseco and the Bash Brothers.
Correct.
And popularized andro or androdostrine, which was just laying there right in full view of the media to everyone in the locker room in the middle of the chase of the greatest home run race of all time. And that is why when people say, well, steroids save baseball, they are correct.
Remember his home run celebration? He'd come in and go like this and then down and then with I think I was 7. Was that 98? I think it was 98. Was it 98?
I believe so, yeah.
I was 17. I was in grade 12. I remember, he didn't have a phone back then. I was working at Save On Foods during the weeknights in high school, some of the nights. And I remember rushing home and turning on the score and being like, what was the latest? What was happening? And then if you were at home watching a game, and if it was a Sosa game, they'd bring the side screen up on McGuire at bats. It was just, man, it was good. That was the best of times.
And you know what? By the way, that station was amazing.
Oh, the score, early score? Come on.
Early score. I mean, early Morency with Cam Stewart, who still kill it together when they are on together. I think Cam's on Sports Grid. Actually, so is Gabe. But yeah, I mean, they would cut into anything. I mean, the way that home run race was covered was amazing. And maybe the only thing more incredible about all those guys in that historic home run race was the fact that, speaking of races, Sammy Sosa changed his race after playing in the major leagues and actually became a white guy, if you recall.
Yes, that's right.
Sammy Sosa,
strange looking dude,
one of the true unicorns of baseball history.
That was good. But yeah, the score, man, they used to have Coolius. Coolius was unreal in his early days back there. He was awesome. Who else did they have? Well, obviously McAuliffe and Elliott. It wasn't Elliott on the score for a bit, or was it just Sid?
Yeah.
Pretty sure Elliott was on the score. Yeah, he started there. They had a great run. That was what was that, mid-90s? Was that kind of mid-90s? Because the score was around before Sportsnet. Right? Was it not? Yeah. Was it not TSN and then the score and then Sportsnet came after? So Yeah, the Score, man, I loved the Score growing up. When I was 14, 15, 16, I watched the Score all the time. So good.
And of course, Rogers came in and bought it. And as with so many things we love, it gets bought by a big company and just goes meow.
Yeah.
Although what's fascinating about that is, and I don't know enough about the background of like who owned it or how all that went down, but they only sold the TV property.
Yeah, not the app.
And when you think back, like, what was more valuable? The one channel when they had all these other channels and are already sort of like the leaders in sports along with TSN, or the app, which is still 100 times better than anything that TSN or Sportsnet has ever put out. And frankly, it's a leader amongst the states too. Like ESPN, like the Score kind of became the standard. And then lo and behold, it got bought by Penn Gaming. And now I guess they've got, I believe, well, I mean, they're involved in the business in that way. It's a great resource. I mean, like when I'm getting ready to do Coolbet picks, I will often go check out all the stats that I need from it. I mean, it's just the app that everybody has basically going forward. So getting into all sorts of business, but I do miss the heyday of the Score with all of those characters, and in particular, my pals Morency and Cam, who were maniacs on the air.
What a fun group. Like that was just like go be entertaining. All right, just go be entertaining. And they were all terrific. It was
people are going to say that same thing about the starts of EST and WST around this time. Like, remember those days back when Huss looked like he was in a hostage situation, joining Dusty, doing that thing. It's just
Dusty hired that guy who didn't know anything about sports, and it was hilarious. And then, of course, there was the ripoff at Remax back on July 22nd of 2024. Huss, did you guys take a look at the CFL lines yesterday?
Well, we did. We did. We guessed them, actually.
Okay, but they weren't out yet, right? So they're out now. What were the guesses? Calgary, Ottawa. What'd you guess?
Calgary, Ottawa. I had, I think it was like one. It was basically a pick 'em or maybe 1 point. Did I say for Ottawa because they were 4-2?
They are 4-2. Calgary's 3-3, and Calgary's 0-3 on the road.
I think I had Ottawa -1.
Yeah, and it's Calgary -1. The money line is Ottawa -103, Calgary -116. So it's very close to a pick 'em. Very close.
Calgary, a super slight favorite. I thought it might be Ottawa, but I was talking and doing something with Lapo earlier this morning. And, Ottawa beat Winnipeg at home in that game that, the Bombers had 3 chances from the 7-yard line and didn't get it in. And then they have 3 wins against teams that had 1-0 games.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure they're getting full marks for their 4-2 record as of yet right now for Ottawa, but that one's going to be a pick 'em. And I when we went through, and obviously, is there a Saskatchewan Montreal number up yet?
No, there's no Saskatchewan Montreal number up yet because they're probably waiting to see what's going on with Cody. Yeah.
One, even Trevor Harris.
Yeah. I don't think Harris is going to be back, but he's getting closer for sure.
Heck of a matchup between those teams.
Yeah.
But these, and I mean, I remember saying to Pat, like, none of the lines this week are going to be more than 3. Like everything is going to be really, really tight. I assume. I'm thinking that they will be, and this could be one of those money line weeks as opposed to playing 1 and 1.5.
Well, you could definitely get the value off the money lines because Winnipeg, Toronto, Argos -1 at home. The money line in that game is -111 to -109. So pick 'em. That's a pick 'em. Toronto and Winnipeg. And the biggest favorite of the week is the Edmonton Elks, who are 0-6. That line has now moved in the direction of the Elks, if you can believe it. It was 2.5 this morning when we were talking about it on our show. It's 3 now. The Elks are a full field goal favorite at home against Bo Levi Mitchell and the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
That is, I mean, I don't even know what to say about that. I say this as a person that I'm pretty sure has bet the Elks every single week this season against the spread. And that hasn't been a bad thing. I think they're 4-2 or at worst 3-3 against the spread. but they've lost the last two. They've been favorites in both of these games against Ottawa, and we're not able to get it done. Hey, let me ask you this, just outside of the lines.
Yeah.
What, like, now that the dust has settled on Jones being fired and they lost again to Ottawa, where are things at about the fans? Like, did the firing give them another few weeks to get it going? Like, the thing that has happened over the last few years, it happened a little bit in Saskatchewan at the end of last season, which is the most concerning, is not people being pissed off, is apathy. Where are we at right now with the Edmonton market, well past the cup, the Stanley Cup run, getting back into Elks football and realizing, oh my God, we're here again?
Yeah, I think it's probably close to them just packing it in for the year now. You know, like if they come home and lose to the Ticats, who are a 1-win team, and go to 0-7 on the season, and are doing it again with MBT at quarterback, as opposed to just sort of feeding the fans Trey Ford and being like, here you go, here's your guy, live with whatever happens. I mean, it'd be tough for people to even get angry. You'd just be so dejected. And that will last until however long it takes for them to announce the new ownership, and then into the offseason for the ownership to put whoever's going to guide this franchise back to the greatness that it once had. They have to check off so many boxes in the correct fashion over the next 5, 6 to 8 months to get people back. And then you got to deliver wins at the beginning of next season to do it. So it's a sad place, us. I'll just say it. It's sad right now. We obviously talk about the Elks a ton around here because we're all big fans of the Canadian Football League and we want to talk about all of the games. But it's sad. Fans are sad. Like they are.
Like the last thing you want in a market like that is people just moving on to NFL talk and NFL training camps, which certainly people are going to be into. In the next little bit, 6 games into an 18-game regular season. And it's so frustrating because, I mean, it's not like they've been out of these games.
Give them a 2-4 record. Give them 2-4. Like, just give them 2-4, and it'd be interested to see where the fans were at, right? Like, but, I mean, and then to make the coaching change, and then to have your defense play well, but your offense cost you a game, and Beatty cost you a game. Like, that's just a bigger kick in the nuts for Elks fans, really. I mean, Beatty essentially, you can make a case, has cost them 2 games in a row, right? Like, it's unacceptable for your kicker to screw up like that bad. I mean, you just can't have it.
I imagine that Awanek and Team Trey Ford are rallying, circling the wagons right now, trying to get their guy in.
Well, we talked about this morning, and I've been very much, quarterback's not the problem. Now, this past week, quarterback wasn't good, but I hated the meltdown again after the game from MBT, talking about all the injuries again. And like, he seemed to come a little unraveled after that last loss. It's like the 0-6 got to him as well. Like he just, and I'm tough. I'm torn on this one because I do love athletes. So like we get so many cut and dry answers that never give you anything. I never want to criticize a guy who actually opens up, but he's already said a lot of the things that he said. And it seemed to be coming from a place of like, he's unhinged right now. And they asked him about coming out of the game for a series to bring in Trey Ford. He's like, well, that sucks. I don't think they win their next game because of Trey Ford if they put him in, but you're 0-6. Your other quarterback, who's supposed to be the calm, cool leader, is starting to become unraveled a little bit. I don't know how it would hurt to go to Trey Ford for a game at this point, Huss.
Yeah, well, I mean, the worst thing that can happen is they can lose. I just don't know whether. I'll say this. I don't think Trey Ford gives them a better chance to win.
Yeah.
And what they need to do is win. But listen, there are a lot of people that do, or at least say, to your point, there's absolutely no downside in doing it. And want to go give the guy. Listen, they're at home against the Hamilton Tiger Cats. They have to win this football game. Like, I haven't looked at their schedule, but thinking that they just played Ottawa twice and they've got Hamilton right now, Like it's going to get like they're going to be playing the Bombers in the second half of the season. And the Bombers are going to be in a situation where they are desperate for wins based on where they're at right now and the kind of the landscape of the division with Saskatchewan and BC being as good as they are. And Calgary getting that huge win against BC kind of shook things up again as well. So I'm fascinated to see what happens with this club. But I will say this, I wish the new owners the best of luck. And I hope that they not only will have someone that can clean up the football operation, but I will tell you, and this reminds me of my second year with the Manitoba Moose after the Winnipeg Jets left. A lot of people gave it a chance the first year. The first year the IHL was a disaster, and then nobody wanted to come back. And that summer was literally boots on the ground, face-to-face, saying, please give us an opportunity to win your business back. And that, I mean, that's what it is going to take in that market right now, because they have lost a lot of people. And, you know, unlike Saskatchewan, which seemingly was on the verge of that with losing 7 straight to end both of the last 2 seasons, Corey Mace has come in, has added so much juice to that team, that organization. And it took a couple of weeks. Fans are back for the Winnipeg game, and I think things will keep trending really in a good direction for Saskatchewan, which is important. But there's a lot of work to do in Edmonton right now. And I think being out of the market with no skin in the game, just a lover of the CFL and the health of the CFL, we need Edmonton to be one of the crown jewels of the league, as it's been for almost the entirety of the franchise up until the Chris Jones era.
Here's their schedule, because you mentioned, you know, you just got Ottawa twice. You get the Ticats this week. Where's the rest of the teams coming here? So in August, they go Riders, Lions. Then they get the Ticats again. Then they get the Alouettes. So they play Saskatchewan, BC, and Montreal in August. Then in September, it's back-to-backs against Calgary and back-to-backs against the Bombers. And then in October, they wrap with the Riders, the Stamps, and the Argos. So there's no easy path here. Like, you're going to have to start playing good football, or you could, and I never thought I'd say this in a million years, you could win fewer games than you won last year. Like,
what were they, 4-14?
They've been 4-14 2 years in a row. They somehow now have to pick up four wins from, they do get the Ticats twice, but then it's the Riders, the Lions, the Owls, the Stamps, who as of right now are a better football team than Edmonton. They get the Bombers twice, and you know the Bombers are going to be desperate for those wins at the end of September. And then it's the Riders, Stamps, and Argos again. Like, it's how's this team that we've seen right now going to win 4 of those games?
That would be an interesting prop from the guys. Elks total wins. Well, we could just say
rest
total
of season
wins on the season.
Yeah,
They've got 0 right now. I mean, we're not adding it to anything.
Would you set it at 2.5 or 3.5? 3.5.
Be interesting. We should ask Pat. We should ask what the guys in the book have to say.
Yeah. No, I'd be curious.
I would think 3.5, especially with a home game against Hamilton this year and how close that they've been.
Yeah, 3.5. Yeah, you know what? That's probably the fair number. Especially if we.
I'll say it right now. Yeah. I've been high on them all year. I think they get the 4 wins. I think they actually find a way to do it. Maybe I'm tipping my hand.
I was just gonna say
them again this week.
You know what you are? You're your guy who does Lock Shop, which is technically based in Edmonton. You're becoming a homer. You're becoming an Elks homer, Huss. That's what helping. Let's see here. Han Shorkoff, who texts in, what a handle. Han Shorkoff says, Beatty didn't help in the loss this week, but if they could finish just one drive, then they would have won the game, which is true. And then Rob also into the inbox at 780-218-9999, going back to the score days. Jerry D, sports reporter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and Cabby started there too.
That was to be honest with you, I feel like that's where Cabby always did his best work, was on the score, man. I love seeing Cabby on the score. That was good stuff.
Rod Z Rod C in the YouTube chat. He goes, Hamilton money line, Elks nose diving. It's ugly, ugly, ugly. Ticats 14-3 against the spread in their last 17 meetings in Edmonton. Elks 20-45 against the spread in their last 65 home games. I mean, that goes back a while.
Man, I'm surprised it's that good because they're 2-27 in their last 29 at home. 2 wins and 27 losses in their last 29 games at home.
But they found a way to lose some very close games. And once you get to be 0-7 and 0-8, you stop being favorites. Although they're favored this week.
They're 0-6 favorite this week. So, I mean, I don't know. We'll get to our picks later in the week.
I wonder what that win does for the Ticats. Because, I mean, you look at the situation they're in right now. Like, Montreal is great. Toronto's still pretty good, even though they just won. And Ottawa has taken care of business against the bad teams. Like, they've got 4 wins right now. I mean, they're in a very similar situation in Edmonton, is that if they don't get on a bit of a run right now and add a few wins together in short order, the last 6-7 games of the season aren't going to mean anything.
Yeah.
And Hamilton, it's not as bad as it's been in Edmonton for the last little while. I won't compare it to that. But, I mean, they were a team that, went back-to-back Grey Cups, and they have just been in free fall since then. And we thought that Milanovic would come in and sort of change things. It hasn't happened so far. Although they beat their rivals, the Argos, last week. Maybe that's the big turnaround right now. But something's got to give on Sunday night in the game that you'll be calling on TSN. Looking forward to that one.
All right, it's Nielson and Haas. We are here on the Lock Shop, presented to you by Coolbet. Sign up for an account today at coolbet.com. We're going to give you a little MLB parlay today. NFL futures are up. We could definitely get to an NFL futures show here at some point as well. Start to dive in and dabble in that a little bit. In fact, week 1 lines are up already at Coolbet for NFL season. And then there's the Olympic betting, Haas. How much do you plan on diving into the Olympic betting?
A ton.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not going to be much else going on right now. I mean, I'm trying to find someone that can give me a good breakdown of the b-boy competition, the breaking. I figured that might be able to get me to watch Olympic breakdancing if I've
God, you landing a breakdancing expert on Winnipeg Sports Talk would be amazing, buddy. Just gonna throw that out there.
Listen, if anyone knows, if anyone can even just tell us how it's judged, how these people ended up qualifying and becoming Olympians, I have to say it's probably the most bizarre Olympic sport that I can remember being introduced into the Olympics in my lifetime. I think ballroom dancing.
That's a great question. That's a great one.
Was an Olympic sport for a long time. I don't believe that it still is. I always thought it was a little weird that equestrian was an Olympic sport, and I'm not sure whether that's in, but the addition of breakdancing, trying to get some cool sports for the young people, is next level. A lot of the other ones that they brought in have been great, though. I mean, you think about the Winter Olympics, and maybe this is because we're Canadian, but I mean, the freestyle skiing, the snowboarding, I mean, those sort of additional sports have become some of the more popular ones in the Winter Olympics. Summer, we still think of track and field, swimming, basketball. Such a joke that baseball isn't in the Olympics. We're putting in breakdancing and we don't have baseball.
That makes no sense.
A truly international sport that is played all around the world, less so in Europe, but they do have it. I mean, we see the WBC every year. Now, I know it's in the middle of the major league season, so you might not have major leaguers, but I'll tell you what, people would still watch it. We understand the game. We love the game. That is one there. The soccer this year, actually, been doing a little research on this. I know it's kind of under 23, I believe, for the men. But they do have some exception spots, and the rosters actually are really good. Like, I think that if you were enjoying the Euro and the Copa, you're going to see some brilliant players playing in the soccer competition. And, of course, the women's soccer I'm really into. And, I mean, as a Canadian fan, we've just seen them get to the podium every year and are the defending Olympic champions right now. So I'm definitely in on that. But, there are a few weird new sports, none more than breakdancing. And that is one where, I've gone through most of the That might be the toughest one. We'll have to ask Evdog back in the
Well,
shop. Because how do you handicap the breakdancing field?
Well, I guess you'd have to go find breakdancing rankings. I'm sure that there's world rankings for everything. Hell, I rank our guys around here, staff rankings. I mean, you can rank anything, right? So there'll be some sort of ranking. I've got the judging for breakdancing pulled up here. The judging system for breakdancing focuses on 5 core categories: technique, vocabulary, execution, musicality, and originality. So here's how the categories break down. Technique is all about the physiological control, including focus areas like athleticism, form, dynamics, and spatial awareness. Vocabulary refers to the range of movement techniques that a breaker displays. Variation and quantity of moves are positives, while repetitions should be avoided. So if you've got like a go-to move and you keep going back to it, which is how most of us dance, you would be docked points on that one. Execution means performing those moves with clarity and without slips or crashes. The narrative composition and flow of a breaker's round in a battle also falls under this category. The musicality is crucial because of breaking's identity as a dance. A breaker should synchronize their moves and respond to the rhythm, texture, and other qualities of the music being played. They don't know what the music will be ahead of time. Oh, wow, interesting. They don't know what the music will be ahead of time. Huh. So
this is not like figure skating where they have their own music.
Yeah.
And they have their routine. You show up and they go, give me the beat.
Drop the beat.
They start breaking.
And then they have to break to it. And that's interesting, actually. Originality encompasses creativity and uniqueness. These values are represented by focus areas like improvisation. I can't read right now. Improvisation, spontaneity, personality, and innovation. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to be able to tell the difference between any of these dances, I don't think. We'll see.
No,
you know what we are? We're about 2 weeks away from major breakdancing judging scandal. That's what we're going to see here, right?
Match fixing.
Match fixing in breakdancing.
Coming to the Olympics. Coming to the Olympics.
I want to see that.
I've not yet seen breaking odds, and I may just make a bet on that so we at least have someone to pull for in it. But what do you think? What's the over-under on number of Olympics that breakdancing actually is a sport for?
1.5.
One and a half. We'll take the under?
mean, how can you? Yeah. I'll take the. Well, 1.5. I'll take the over because they'll probably do it one time. Then they'll be like, we'll give it one more crack, and then after that they'll be like, see you later.
2.5. I would take under.
Under 2.5. Under 2.5 for sure. I had Josh Lundberg on this morning to talk about the basketball. Wanted to get into that a little bit, mostly because LeBron James is going to carry the flag, and they're calling him Captain L'America, which I think is just the greatest name ever. But Canada having the second best odds to win gold at the men's basketball tournament, I still don't think is being talked about enough, considering how far we've come in that sport. Like, this is incredible. Like, they have the best chance. I truly believe this because of SGA and because of Jamal Murray, no matter how much you can get out of Jamal Murray. But I think they've got the best chance to stop this American team that looks absolutely stacked. And it's crazy to think that that's where we're at right now with Canadian basketball, man. It's amazing.
We're a basketball superpower now. I mean, the States is the superpower. But, I mean, for all the incredible players from Europe, Canada has a team full of NBAers. And SGA's, transformation into an MVP candidate, along with Jamal Murray, who is absolutely nails when things matter the most. And then you've got the Lou Dorts and Dylan Brooks. And, I mean, it is so exciting as a Canadian basketball fan. I was speaking with Mike Taylor today, the coach of the Sea Bears, who was a FIBA coach for 12 years, 8 years as the head coach of Poland.
Cool.
4 years as the assistant coach of Czech Republic. And, he says, I know France hasn't had a great lead into this tournament And we actually watched it. We finished up Friday's show, and Remus did a raid of CBC for the Canada-France game. So everyone that was with us in WSD got kicked over there, ended up watching the rest of that. Great performance for Canada. The bet for me, is Canada to win a medal.
What's the number on that?
Minus 111.
Oh,
minus 111.
Love that.
Oh, and something, actually, you were here yesterday, so Patty's been all over this as well. Our women, I think our women, something like plus 300 to make the to win a medal. But 3-on-3 basketball has introduced. Now, I don't think our men qualified, but our women did, and they're actually quite good.
Yeah, they've got the Plouffe sisters who are from Edmonton. We know all about the 3-on-3, man. They're a good team. They're a good team.
Well, they're tied for second at plus 250 to win the gold, presumably behind the United States. But we're going to get a number, Dusty, on over or under 1.5 medals in basketball for Canada.
Ooh,
at the Olympics.
I like that.
And we'll have to jump on that. And I think basically we need the men and we need the 3-on-3 team both to get it. But I will be absolutely betting Canada to get onto the podium. And listen, I think I'll probably put something. There are numbers for the tournament without the United States.
Yeah, Canada's plus 215. With
and with France.
Without the USA numbers, France is plus 225.
All right. So essentially, we're talking pick 'em too, but it's like Canada versus France. Listen, there's some other really good teams, and we can't overlook. I mean, Canada is in a group with Australia, traditionally a good FIBA team, Greece with Giannis, speaking of flag bearers, and Spain, who I think was like the number 2 ranked team in the world, but it certainly doesn't look like when I look at the odds for the tournament.
I think they are the number 2 ranked men's basketball program in the nation. Lewinberg brought that up today. But I mean, to look at the winner of that group, Canada's minus 167 to win the group, Greece with the Greek Freak plus 390, Australia's plus 385, and then Spain's plus 750. So this obviously isn't that, Spain groups of the past that we've seen that was kind of a basketball power there for a little bit outside of the United States. So it's just I love the fact that we're sitting here talking about Canada is like in the group of death, but the favorite to come out of it. We're sitting here looking at a good number for them to finish on the podium, and I think it's very, very, very reasonable. So
it's the group of death for everybody else.
Yeah,
because
that's the thing.
They got a deal. They got a deal with
that's cool, man.
with Canada in the event.
Yeah.
You want to fire up a double play?
Let's do it. What do we got? What do you like today?
Well, listen, after yesterday's fiasco, I'm going to something that I know and that I can count on. And that is Paul Skeens.
Skeens.
Who is the man and could very well close the gap in the Cy Young voting or race, if you will, with another big performance tonight. Now, they are minus 182, I believe, on the money line. The strikeout prop is 7.5. He's been mowing down that with regularity. And the Cardinals, to be honest, are not particularly a team that, hits the cover off the ball. Probably a lot of strikeouts. So I do like Skeens over 7.5 strikeouts for a prop. And Patty had the 2 props yesterday, so I could definitely go with that. With him on the mound and how good he's been, I almost feel like, and I know this is crazy after losing yesterday the way that we did, I almost want to take the Pirates run line at minus 1.5. Lance Lynn is pitching for the Cards. And he's been okay. He's got a mid-4 ERA, but I mean, Skeens is like plus 190. Yesterday's game was 2-1. I expect the Pirates to bat a little bit more, but I think if we want to be maybe a little safer, let's go with the over 7.5 strikeouts as my contribution to the double play. But I'll tell you what, right now, gang, if you want to ride with me, do so. I am betting the Pirates, who I liked yesterday and didn't pick, I do like them. I'm going to take them on the run line at plus 112.
Man, I was on the Pirates yesterday for the lock shop play of the day, and they ended up winning. It pains me to say that you liked them yesterday and didn't go with them. And if you would have gone with them, would have cashed that triple play. That's
it got that was reminded to me. That was reminded to me in the chat.
Yeah, that's a tough one. That's a tough one.
I mean, listen, it's not like Milwaukee was a disaster of a selection. It was just, I mean, it just didn't happen. I mean, 162 games, you win some, you lose some. Yesterday was an L, but I wore it heavily because Patty came through with two amazing props. But Death Taxes and Paul Skeens annihilating opposition hitters. Until that changes, I'm riding with him over 7.5 strikeouts minus 125. That is my contribution to the double play. You gonna pick a game?
Well, I think I'll probably go. Well, what was the number again on yours? I'm just trying to think to get the value on it here. What was it? Minus
125.
Minus 125. Okay, because I'm looking at Dodgers minus 143 at home here against the Giants. The other game I already picked earlier today for a Coolbet hotline of the day, so it's already out there. Probably stay away with it. But the Astros minus 133 on the road in Oakland tonight. That was what we made our Coolbet hotline of the day today.
I was literally staring that game down. I almost picked it myself.
Were you?
Oh,
well,
yeah.
This might be a sign here. We might have to. I'll obviously mix it up for the lock shop play of the day. But if you were that close to taking it too, eh?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I figured you can do a lot worse than bet against the A's. The Astros are the one team that had that terrible start to the season.
But they're battling at the top right now. Yeah.
Oh, they're a 3.5 game lead. I mean, the A's are 40-62. So, I mean, what's the pitching matchup tonight? I'm just gonna go down to the bottom. Got Biggs, Beto. I mean, two guys that haven't pitched very much. Yeah, I mean, if you wanna,
yeah, no, I would 100% put that in there, 100%, because that's my favorite play of the day in Major League Baseball. So, so we got Houston money line against the A's, and then Skeens over on the strikeouts.
Yeah, Skeens over on the strikeouts. Okay. Plus 215, and then the guys will get a nice little boost.
Beautiful.
We'll throw that up in the exclusive.
We'll text that along to the boys in the Lock Shop chat. Huss, what's coming up in Winnipeg Sports Talk today, buddy?
Well, a huge game tonight, actually, speaking of hoops, for the Seabears. So Coach Mike Taylor's going to jump on. We're going to have a little visit with Paul Lapalisse, on what's happening in and around the Canadian Football League. Mike McIntyre from the Free Press is going to jump on. Mike was there, actually, Dusty, for my debut in the ring in a professional wrestling event last week. We haven't really been on.
Yeah, I saw it. I wanted to talk to you about it. Like, were you just working the mic?
So, yes. Okay. I didn't take any bumps.
Okay.
I was doing color commentary for the event. But then they said, hey, Hustler, with you being there, we would love if you maybe got a little bit more involved. Would you like to do a Piper's Pit style segment, Hustler's Hot Seat? And I'm like, absolutely, I would. So the Mecca Shane Madison, along with his branding, is a director of brand and imaging, Carter Chen, came in. I asked the tough questions to them. And it was a lot of fun. It was hilarious, in fact. And then they had the match later on. But for the first time, I can say that I'm in the business, Dusty. I haven't even cashed a check. I have gotten a white envelope with Hustler and a few 20s in it as a paid contractor in the world of professional wrestling for the first time. Shout out to
I'm so proud of you, Huss. I'm so proud of you, buddy.
I'm waiting on the footage from the segment to show off on WST. You could maybe play it on the Lock Shop as well. Of course. Although you kind of need to know the stories of the characters I was in the ring with, which will make it that much better. But yes, October 10th, we're going to be back. We'll see where the storyline goes. But I'm now a character in Wrestling United, and I'm very much looking forward to do it again. So That was another thing that you missed while you were banging out those quality CFL broadcasts.
Just amazing stuff, buddy. I absolutely love it. Winnipeg Sports Talk coming up here in about 6 minutes. We got two guys in the goalie with myself, Cass, and Gager coming up on Edmonton Sports Talk. Huss, have a good show today. Yeah.
What are you guys going to talk about on?
Well,
let's face it. It's easy for me to sit down with you every day. We talk about the CFL and just run. What are the topics for two guys on a goalie today?
Calgary Flames Arena. We'll get into that.
So that's you'll get a good 45 seconds.
Yeah. Jay Woodcroft doesn't get the Blue Jackets job. Is he going to have to take an assistant coaching job to get on the bench somewhere again? We'll get into that one. And then I'm going to do this today. This will be a fun one. If you won the Stanley Cup right now, what would you do with it for your day? And myself and Gager and Cass will lay out what we would do with it for the day. So
see, this is why we're a good team.
Yeah.
This is good crowdsourcing. Yeah. Maybe we'll touch on that today. We'll see, because right now we did not talk to Jets yesterday. We banned Rucker McGroarty conversation last week just because it was dominating everything. We might go back to Old Faithful today, though.
Mount Rushmore?
And talk about a potential return of Patrick Laine.
Oh, my God.
That'll get the people going.
God, that'll get people fired up. I love it. All right, buddy. Have a good show, and we'll talk to you more on the Lock Shop.
You got it, dude. Later. Buddy.